of an enigma for me.
Yeah, it feels like if you look at all these Frank Esports champions, it's a lot more of just taking the heads up 1v1 duels, right? Aphelios wants to just take the heads up duel, the Ari wants to take a heads up duel, Lee Sin, Gnar as well. Unfortunately, with factoring Kurt, I don't think that's going to happen. But for Frank Esports, I think it's a lot about this early game and being able to try and snowball into the mid game. But unfortunately, like MFT, this Wombo power coming in from their 5-man squad is really, really scary.
It's just you click all of your ultimate buttons and someone is going to die on the side of Frank Esports. We're heading into the Rift. Just another reminder, today we are playing an elimination match. No more second chances. You have to live and move on or you go home. So we are going to hit the match between Frank Esports and Meta Falcon team. So we have Frank with a 5-man stack right off the board, going for a potential invade. Looks like it. As we do have Nautilus coming across.
This is great.
From blindside vision. Wen's gonna get caught out, but he gets the passive, flashes away right off the start of things, and that's Frank Esports with a great vision sneak.
Yeah, really, really well played coming in from Frank Esports on that play, but it also means MFT will be able to get that red buff warded. And Pretender not opting to lob a Q into the bush just to check things out. Actually, it looks like they kind of plan to circle on around, so if 665 had stayed in that bush, potentially would have been caught out and picked off, but they did have a ward, so not going to get bamboozled there.
Both of the teams do have a ward on the respective red buffs, so they should know where these starts are going to happen. And Taco, very interesting, actually going for some harass, but he will face a potential sandwich right here. Kurt is not going to win this trade and is actually forced to take the hop at level 1.
Very safe choice there.
Red now walking into a lot of trouble right there. Not a favorable trade. He does have a half HP.
Yeah, and this is also PTA on this Aphelios, so he was able to get the 3-hit proc there, and that's why he have that extra burst of damage come down onto Leona, and Leona also opting for the glacial augment. So it means that you have a lot more catch potential, but when it comes to trading before level 3, you are very, very squishy.
Yeah, we have seen double glacial. Usually means that both junglers are going to be arriving here as well. It's a lot more of a snowbally lane. And now we have Holo coming into the bottom side. Both teams should know about the jungle pathing, but it's just about how they react to it, as we have MFT and Whale going over there and just dropping a ward.
Yeah, and really nice lane position down in that bot side for the side of Frank Esports now. 665, he's known to make an early visit over to Wen's lane quite often. At the very least, to reset the wave and allow Wen to get a back off, or if the opportunity presents itself, to try and burn the flash on the enemy mid laner. Pretender is aware of that and ends up being able to just walk away.
Yeah, really nicely done. Kind of a telegraphed play from Wen, as he does walk up with the fear passive there, and Pretender instantly knows that he should be walking towards the other side. 3-3 versus 2-2 gank, very classical gank right here, but can 665 actually find the Spectral Maw? He is going to go into Camouflage, does find Eminem, burns his cleanse.
Holo's on the way.
Doesn't look like there is kill potential in this one. MFT will just back out. In the meantime, Holo does find the Scuttle, and Wen might be in a bit of trouble here. He's definitely in one-shot execution range, but Holo just going to assist with the wave clear, not going for the kill whatsoever. And we do have Wen just staying safe right here. A good attempt from both sides. We do have a bit of a CS lead on the side of Whale, but Frank Esports, they should be okay with that one as well.
Yeah, and more importantly, like, that's going to be double Scuttle for Holo. Already level 4, he's going to be very close to level 5, or at least halfway there. And if you compare the CS gap already in the jungle, 665 trying to make things happen very early on, and then as a result, he's given up multiple camps, or at the very least, both of these scuttle craps, right? So That's a pretty large gap already in the junglers, and that's resulted in a pickaxe buy.
Ooh, this buy for Lee Sin is absolutely bonkers here. We will see 665 still staying on the map, helping Taco push this one in.
He's still level 3.
At 4 minutes, not exactly what you want to see. He does have that Krug camp. Let's see if the gank for Holo will work out here. K2 looking for the angle. Watch out for the dredge line. Let's see if Renhao accidentally goes a little bit too far. The angle's definitely present. Can he actually turn this dredge line over? Ooh, the wave's not going to give him the opportunity here as it does come in. Holo's also taking a lot of time here, so at least this will give 665 some time to actually catch up. There goes K2.
Okay.
He does actually find the Jinx in the end. Instant ignite into the Gravitum. The extra auto attack, the double flash in, not able to find the kill. Well, we'll survive that one.
Decent attempt coming in from Frankie Sports, but unfortunately, by the time they were able to land a hook, Whale and Renhao just a little bit too far away from the rest of Frankie Sports. So Whale able to get out, but he does have to burn both summoners, and it was a clutch block from Renhao at the end to make sure Hollow didn't land the Q onto the Jinx. That ends up saving Whale in that instance. And I mean, while he does lose a pretty sizable wave there, he's still even in CS.
Taco gonna take some punishment from a Kurt that just turned into Meganar, still holding on to the ultimate.
Oh, wow.
Nearly one-shots him. Taco
Wow.
does have to run away right here. He does land the
Wow.
W, but it will be a solo kill. Kurt finds the solo versus Taco, something we did not expect of this matchup.
Wow, okay. Kurt finding the 1v1 there was 100% unexpected. For sure, I thought Taco wins the lane more often than not, and even then also in very dominating fashion. But that certainly shifts the calculus quite a bit, right? If Nar does find the 1v1, even against that Sheen purchase, you already have steel cap boots. It also is tier 2 boots. The amount of kiteability offered by the Nar now is going to be pretty strong, and all of a sudden, there's a lot more options available for the side of Frankie Sports in how they want to play the game.
Yeah, such an incredibly clean solo kill as well. This is always the thing about Camille trading is you can't afford to get caught out in the middle of the lane. No opportunity to use hookshot right there, and he just gets run over by Kurt on that item buy. I think we do have to delve into some of those other win conditions that you just mentioned. You know, we said that Frankie Sports was they're definitely aiming for more of like a solo, just kind of will beat you on each individual point type of strategy. Now with Kurt with a sizable lead here, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, if Hollow does set up for the dive here, it could be a bit risky. But if they are able to find the kill, even trading one kill back, this would be a very, very good result. But Meganar about to time out. That's going to leave them too small of a window to actually be able to find that kill. And they'll instead turn their attention towards this Rift Herald. And so far, like, besides this bottom lane, CS-wise, everything is kind of going to as expected. The only issue has been their usual strong point on the map with Eminem on this Aphelios and just hard slamming the lane. That hasn't really come to fruition. He's down 10 CS, which is not the typical Eminem lane phase.
It does seem like MFT are playing extra attention over towards Eminem. They know he's the main carry, 30% of the team's damage. If you can shut that down, that's pretty much Frank's late game expectations, as we do see a Herald for blue buff trade starting out here. Definitely still a little bit more favorable. Oh, 665 finally picks up the blue buff. I thought he was about to lose that one, but he does take it in the very end, so at least they get a little bit something back. In the meantime, we do have Holo with the Herald here. I do want to ask you where you expect this one to get dropped.
Most likely bot lane. I mean, like, when it comes to their solo laners, they typically play with not a whole lot of jungle attention, and they don't get a lot of gold invested
Polo
Here
does
it
show
is.
himself. K2 flashes in. The Moonlight Vigil actually doesn't land, but the Dragon's Rage will do the job. A 2-man knockup into another kill in the bottom side, and Frank Esports wipe away that deficit in bot.
And Frank Esports, once again, they managed to brute force it in that bottom lane. Now, of course, with the Herald available, they're actually going to move towards the mid lane. It is actually going to be
Red Hell looking for a return kill, goes straight onto Eminem. They find him, the stun doesn't go down just yet, but they will finish off the kill, which means the Herald drop probably not going to happen just yet. 665 does not get the kill, actually, excuse me. It is Renhal taking down the Aphelios.
But at the same time, it is going to be the Aphelios still going down, and now Whale is able to return to this lane. And while a kill did go into the hands of Eminem, the lane position isn't that bad for this Jinx pick still, and she is also going to be able to continue to generate that CS lead. So all in all, the gold is pretty even still in this AD carry matchup.
A really good combo from the side of MFT. I was a little bit surprised that Eminem wasn't able to use his flash at all in that one. He did have it, but it seems like the stun lock from Renhao and 665 made short work of the Aphelios right there. And we do have MFT winning out on their bottom lane, which is not typically the lane that they go for, I would say. Taking a look at the gold difference here. Small lead for Frank.
And I mean, for the most part, Whale has done very well in the bot lane when it comes to just kind of laning. A lot of times when he ends up falling behind, it's because he's forced in a position where his support needs to go bail out when in that mid lane matchup. That hasn't been an issue so far in this game, so Whale's been able to play the game, play bot lane, and he's been very efficient in doing so.
K2 waiting over the wall, but he's not going to get vision of Whale. Now he finds it just yet. It's going to go Hex Flash directly over into the ultimate. There's a 3-man Leona ultimate down to help things out, but Frank Esports are picking up the kills left and right. Already 2 down, and what a great ambush by K2 and Frank Esports. They get to the point first. Nar was down here early. He also just dropped the Herald kind of haphazardly there. I think that one might have been a mistake, but they will pick up this Hex Drake nonetheless.
Yeah, actually, the Herald about to time out there in that instance. Only had probably around 20 seconds left. So forced to throw that down earlier. And what a great play coming in from K2. Comes over the wall with that Hex Flash, knowing that the rotation is just going to be there from everyone on the side of Frank Esports. They pull Kurt down for this play, and you can see, like, on the mini-map in that instance, Taco, he had just entered that bot side jungle when the fight just finished. So the rotations coming in from the solo laners on the side of MFT just that much slower, and that has been one of the big points of Frank Esports. What they've been really good at is just Kurt, he's always willing to rotate 30 seconds early. If it means sacking 2 waves, he'll do it. But when it comes to playing for his team, he's always there.
It definitely has been the case right here. We've seen that sort of move also go sideways sometimes, but in this instance, definitely working out. I feel like Kurt is definitely much more of a team fight centric top laner than a split pusher that we've seen been kind of the more popular trend in Season 12 right here. MFT will come back into the bottom side, and so far that mid-game combo that we've been hyping up in the draft hasn't come to fruition just yet. The Hextech Ultimatum, the Shadow Surge, not happening just yet. The Pretender flying in onto when will find the charm. 665 there to escort though.
Yeah, 665 in the perfect place there in that moment. Prevents his mid laner from going down, but still really well executed coming in from Frank Esports. And this is kind of the point where Frank Esports do sometimes struggle though. They get themselves a 3k gold lead, and then the next 5 minutes, it just holds that 3K goal. So we need to see more come out from Frank Esports. It's not like we have a third dragon about to come into their hands, so they need to be a little bit more proactive in trying to generate more leads, especially with the composition that they do have, which you would still say would get outscaled later on in the game.
I definitely agree with that one. You really need to get a little bit more kills on that Ahri, make sure everything can go smoothly. MFT still have with a very strong wombo combo teamfight comp, so you know those comps typically not as affected by gold deficits. We are just going to see a trade for Herald for the top lane, for the bottom lane, excuse me, coming in from MFT. They will look to get an extra turret on the top side as well. 665 just getting into position. Let's see if he drops the Herald directly, or will he wait on this one? The rotation is coming in from Frank, and looks like that window has closed. Just a straight up 3v3 in the top side. And actually Frank a little bit slower on this rotation here. Let's see what they are going to do. Once again, this is kind of detrimental to Kurt, as he doesn't really get to do much here.
Yeah, Kurt really wants to find that Mega Gnar. Big Mega Gnar ultimate. If he is able to find just like 2 or even the 3-man ult, that would be absolutely massive to just try and snowball the game. But they will just rotate him down bot lane. And at the very least, Frank Esports, they are sort of able to mitigate the possibility of that Rift Herald happening. And now it's about controlling this top half of the map, at least for the time being. Try and break down that next tier 1 tower, whether it's in the mid lane or in this top lane.
Let's see how they go about it. I will say for Meta Falcon team, their team's biggest weakness to me is just their unfamiliarity with pro level macro. I feel like their mid game macro has been probably one of the weaker teams in the PCS for sure. They are essentially a collegiate team, and they do make a lot of lane allocation mistakes that we've seen in the past. So hopefully that will not be the case this game, and it does seem like they will not be playing too overly aggressive without vision right here, keeping both side lanes safe. We are going to be heading into the next Drake, and I have to ask you, who really holds the edge in this one, and what do you expect to see out of the setups?
I mean, when it comes to the damage potential, you do have to favor the side of Frank Esports with the Mega Gnar at this point in the game, right? The Camille's not quite online.
Taco just gets taken through mid-air, drops down to 300 HP, and has to flash out. He might just be dead already before the fight even starts. Bit of a oopsies right there. MFT will drop the Herald, but yeah, that was
charge.
A little bit unexpected. I think it came out of nowhere. Really good aim coming in from K2.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be much of a fight now for this next dragon, so it should just be the Inferno going into the hands of Frank Esports. Although MFT, they are still kind of sniffing around here, which might be a little bit detrimental here if they overstay their welcome, and Frank Esports just turns onto him. K2 playing very, very well so far, and might have another opportunity to find a hook.
Gravitum goes down. They do catch out Red now, forces the flash. 665 goes forward, but Kurt has his sights on him. He's looking for the potential to bring him back into the team. Holo is going to go forward just to put a little bit of damage. He doesn't have the Dragon's Rage. He's just fronting, but the front works.
Yeah, and I mean, Frank Esports, they've been in pretty good control of this game. When we talk about how they play out the game, it feels very PSG-esque because they'll get these leads and they kind of just sit on them for a little bit. And then you get to that 21, 22 minute mark, then they find that first big fight, and then it turns into something like a Baron or the possibility of the Dragon Soul. And that's how they kind of try and snowball and end the game off of that point. But as it stands now, Dragon Soul isn't going to be a big issue here, and Baron is not necessarily going to be something that they can just kind of bait around too hard at the moment because of still the reset potential coming in from a Viego Jinx composition.
Yeah, they do have to be very careful, and this is something that I find kind of interesting about this game. We've talked up MFT having the much easier to execute teamfight combo, the, in our eyes, stronger teamfight combo, but Frank has just been decimating them in terms of playing around objectives. Both of these major fights have been Frank just popping out, getting a catch right off the start, and I'm not sure what MFT need to do here. They have the tools, but how do they bring those tools into an actual fist? You know, it just seems to be they're in this kind of a slap fight when they should be trying to aim for a punch.
Yeah, that's always a bit of a question for MFT, and just how do they find that team fight before the other side is able to just kind of get all their resources together. And that's been a big issue for MFT. You saw yesterday in their series against CFO. It was Taco. Yes, when he has the teleport, he's typically there at the right time, but when almost always seems to be 5-10 seconds late to the play. So he needs to be on top of his rotational game for MFT to have a chance, because on this Vex, this is a majority of their upfront damage to get these resets for your Jinx, for your Viego.
We still haven't seen that Vex use the Shadow Surge in a team fight at all. It's just been picks on picks for Frank Esports, and I have to say the laning phase for MFT wasn't even that bad. The bot lane was winning, so I'm very surprised at this mid-game result. Now we have a potential catch right on top of Kurt. Hextech ultimatum gonna go down, but they can't finish him before he goes into the Mega Gnar. They finally get the kill into the resets. Let's see if they can get more. K2 in a bad position. Shadow Surge won't land though, as Renhouse stays alive somehow. MFT gonna chase forward. We finally get the passive. Eminem has to burn both of his summoners, and that is MFT roaring back into a good teamfight win.
Yeah, and it comes off the back of Taco and 665 being able to find Kurt early on and be able to almost get him for free there. It does still end up getting traded 1-for-1, but they end up winning out when it comes to a lot of the map control at the moment, but unfortunately unable to get more out of that fight, as it feels like it's gonna go reset, and then everyone's still gonna be up and available for this next dragon, but more importantly, there's a lot of missing summoner spells for the side of MFT.
Small correction, it was just a 1-for-0 there for Meta Falcon team. Red House somehow survived at the very end, but you hit the nail on the head.
665 did go down though.
Oh, 665. Oh, okay. Yeah, my bad. 665 did overchase a little bit right there. All eyes really on Eminem going into this one. A lot of pieces still available. Shadow Surge is up. Leona Ultimate is up. Let's see if MFT can finally fight a good objective fight. We are going in. Holo trying to find the back line.
Oh,
Whale is going to go down towards Pretender. Another catch right before the Drake. And how is Frank keep on getting this over and over again? MFT are just never grouped for these team fights. Frank just gonna head straight for the Baron.
I don't know what just came across my screen. I just saw a giant Jinx rocket come down, but more fighting.
That's gonna be an easy pickup kill for Frank Esports. They have the vision control. They find the blind spot and they punish Frank. Once they punish MFT once again for just having a very haphazard approach to these objectives.
Yeah, and it's just the rotations. Like, once again, Pretender, he shows up into that mid lane, and for the side of MFT, like, they aren't able to pull their soul laners around fast enough. The one fight that they found, it was because their soul laners were there first. Like, we're gonna see the replay on how they were able to find the pick. It's Taco being there, it's Wen being there, and when you just have more members, it makes these fights a whole lot easier to execute. But then, right after that success, or somewhat of a success, it looked good at the start. MFT, they just get caught out in no man's land. They're the ones that get punished because their solo laners just don't rotate.
Yeah, that has been a very consistent issue this game, and I'm a little bit disappointed. We still, like, we were guaranteed MFT, this Wombo combo, you know, it was supposed to be a big meal, a massive feast, and so far we've only seen appetizers. Like, they have not been able to pull this composition together whatsoever, and it just does feel like the difference in levels of fundamentals. I don't think Frank Esports is doing anything particularly fancy. They're just saying, okay, we'll show up a little bit earlier on these objectives and we'll pick you out when you come around.
Yep.
Vision blind spots. It's
yeah, it's just a better understanding of like the timers. And unfortunately for MFT, they're just you know, 10-15 seconds behind on every single play. Like, the thought's there, but the execution just way too far behind. And now Frank Esports, they have this Baron buff. Yes, they did drop the Dragon, which Taco was able, it was either Taco or 665 was able to sneak away, which is very important because it delays Dragon Soul at the very least. But Frank Esports should be able to really just almost nearly put this game to rest at this point, because the gold lead is just going to balloon. It should be very close to 10k by the end of this Baron buff.
And we do have Pretender being super fed here as well. Has not died this game just yet. Already sitting on 4 kills. If he lands a charm, that is going to be a kill. So Frank Esports, they're not going to give up this opportunity. They're going to continue to push. MFT for them, they finally have all 5 people grouped. It's not in front of an objective, but they do have all members here. So maybe we can see the fight going on. Death Charge gonna go down. We have a massive 3-man ultimate into the back line. Kurt finds the engage. Holo gonna fly in. Pretender gets up a kill. But Will might be chasing this down. He's getting excited. Reset City going in. 665 finds one. He gets another. Will is still chasing another. Eminem, he does find the 80 carry trade. Now it's only the jungler versus the mid laner who will win out. Pretender, last man standing out of 10 people in the bottom lane.
That was the most gladiator fight I've seen of all time, and Pretender is the one left standing. It does mean that they won't be able to finish out the game because of the fact that it's only the Ahri left, but as we get to see the replay, it all starts out with being able to find the catch onto Taco and resulting in the multi-man Gnar. Kurt on the Gnar has been very impressive in this first game so far, but would get that first reset, and this is what makes this composition so scary, right? Because you get the first reset, all of a sudden Jinx gets excited, you get the ult resets coming in for Viego, and you also get the ult reset coming in for the Vex. So a lot of damage potential after that first kill goes down for the side of MFT, and that time they were able to capitalize on Holo overextending.
I'm so surprised at the result of that team fight, because Meta Falcon team were down 7,000 gold before going into that one. I didn't expect it to be close whatsoever. I thought Frank would pretty much just like roll their faces on the keyboard and just decimate them.
Yes.
It just kind of shows you the power of Meta Falcon team's composition and the reset potential. Like you were mentioning, how should Frank play this a little bit more carefully? As I think they were pretty surprised by that result as well.
Yeah, I definitely think they were really shocked by how that fight turned out, and now things are interestingly going to, while it is a near 10k gold lead, but what we've seen from that last fight and the fact that Jinx is now has a 3rd completed item, you would certainly favor her 3 items against the
Here comes the engage here. Pretender not going to get locked down. It's K2 that's the target, but a lot of damage going through. Oh my god, that's the Aphelios once again.
200 years
onto 4 members of the team. You forgot about Eminem. All focus was on K2, but Eminem was there to pick up the pieces. Will the real Eminem please stand up right here as they put the finishing touches? Maybe, as well as still cutting out. He's looking for the damage, but he won't find it. Kurt chain locks him down. We'll get the kill. Eminem face taking the tower though. Eminem, what are you? Wait a minute. Eminem's dead. It's still gonna be 3 versus none though. So they still have a chance to just take this one down.
They still win
665
the
is
game.
coming in. Eminem still with the right call for sure. Congratulations to Frank Esports. The last two team fights had a lot of excitement for us, but it looked like they should be winning this one. The charm lands onto 665 from Pretender. Do they want this extra kill before putting the finishing touches? They will get it. And Frank Esports with the first blood being